themselves officially with a couple of different projects actually, but what's really cool about this is VeChain building government traceability platform for the, I don't know if I say this right, but the Bana region in Inner Mongolia, China. Now, we talked about VeChain originally way back before, quite recently, to be fair, they've been talking about a lot of other perspectives of their ecosystem and platform. But for us, it was always about supply chain with VeChain. Hence, I guess, the chain mechanism within their name. But of course, the aspect of traceability is really important in the world that we're moving forward in. And we do a lot of topics around like the World Economic Forum and the UN's Agenda 30 program in terms of sustainability, efficiency, energy consumption, all these things. And there's a multitude of really positive attributes that come from the traceability factor of our produce, whether it's from agriculture, from material items, clothing, whatever it may be, that you guys purchase in shops, online or whatever. As we become more of a conscious society of where our products are coming from, where our produce is coming from, and also from the diversification and equality perspective, very big topic points in the world right now. We as consumers don't always think about when we go to the supermarket or buy things from shops, the actual effective cost mechanism behind this product, right? Where does it come from? How many emissions or CO2 emissions have been used to bring this to my table at home? And also things like, has the person that's made this product or this service or whatever been paid fairly and efficiently? So all these things about traceability, we go back to a topic actually a while back around the agricultural topic. And there was like billions of people that are unbankable, but there's also millions of people out there that are getting not even paid properly for like harvesting rice or whatever it may be around the world in their agricultural environment that they're in. And now finally through blockchain, we're able to remove the fraud, we're able to provide fairer payments and transparency between where a product services come from, and vice versa. The people who create or harvest these produce items are now able to see where their work goes and ensure that they get the correct payment structure in place as well. As along the line, I mean, here in the UK, for example, you see the commercialization over the years, and it's not just the UK, it's worldwide, of course, but the agricultural perspective is a bit of a mess, really. That's why farmers are now just selling land off left, right, and centre. One, because they probably get more money for selling land for wind farms and solar these days, or to the housing industries. But two, the pricing that they get from supermarket stuff from a volume perspective is pittance compared to what they used to. But they essentially had their hands tied in the sense that, well, if you don't contribute to our supermarket ecosystem, then you're probably going to lose out anyway, because people just naturally, as mass adoption, like to buy their things in one place rather than going, oh, do you know what, I'll still have the milk van come round or this, that and the other. It's a dying breed, and it has been for over a decade now. So this aspect of the farming that is available still, especially from the independent perspective, and what they mention here about agricultural rural development plans, particularly here in China, which is really cool. So the Ministry of Agriculture, body under the central Chinese government, stating that blockchain technology should be adopted and implemented to meet the requirements for the development of the agricultural sector. So bringing fairness, bringing diversity, bringing equality back to the people. And if you do follow a lot of the World Economic Forum's topics, a lot of it is indeed around producing food, the equality of people being paid, and this, that, and the other. But of course, from the traceability perspective, there's loads and loads of different applications that can be used from this side of things, from a consumer perspective, knowing where their produce has come from. For me personally, I've been a vegetarian now for, I think, a year and a half, and I found it very important when I was eating meat. Where's the meat being sourced from? Was I being responsible and sustainable in my utilization of eating meat? And I've cut meat out just for various reasons, really. and that's just my choice. But it's the same now principle of anything else that I buy. Where's it come from? How's it been processed? Who has the person, or has it been part of fair trade, for example? So there's all these things going on subconsciously through people now. And I think that will happen more and more as generations pass. We will be more conscious about this. But the help now of things like blockchain technology being able to do this job for us, so we can literally just scan something and find out immediately where it's come from, what's its impact on the world environment, and indeed from a supermarket's perspective or a grocer in general, will be able to think about what stock they want to bring in. Are they subconsciously now thinking about the environment and the trackability of where their products are coming from? Your greengrocers, I can assure you, especially if you're in the UK, it definitely doesn't come from down the road from Farmer Joe. It more than likely comes down from the likes of Hayes or Uxbridge at the farmers market that's imported from Heathrow from all across the world. So you think of this orange that you bought for 30 pence. How much is the actual farming obtained from that cost? Because you've got transportation, you've got the aspect of keeping it fresh and clean and chilled. So actually, has the farmer even made 5 pence off this orange? You don't know. So this traceability thing really affects that aspect, as well as supply and demand. We've got to think about the AI algorithm behind this. As and when technology advances, we've got fridges now that tell you when you've taken something out and it needs to be reordered and stuff like that. If we're on an AI algorithm of the world, which is what blockchain is arguably about to be building, especially with tangle mechanisms like IOTA, for example, or DAG systems, where everything's on an automated scalability aspect, things ordering things on your behalf, but because it knows your pattern, your behavior, and your morals based on the digital trend that you've given it from browsing history and using your smartphone and the purchasing behaviors you've had over the years, it will help decide for you. You decide your mind for you on what produce you'd be acceptable to be eating and obtaining. So there's loads of different really cool stuff in the background that people don't really think about when it comes to blockchain, and particularly things like this. Things as well mentioning about quality assurances. It mentioned here as well somewhere about recalls, the ease of bringing products back quicker through the mechanism of knowing who's got it because of the tracking ability. It's now entered my fridge, but actually I can get a message to say, actually, don't eat that, Simon. You need to bring it back, or a drone will come and pick it up, whatever it will be in the future. So there's loads of really cool stuff around that. But I thought I'd bring this topic to your attention because like a lot of top projects out there, they just focus a lot on NFTs at the moment. I just want to know, again, way back to the origination of these projects, and that's what VeChain was to me, is the whole supply chain mechanism aspect of that, and a really phenomenal protocol and blockchain technology. And of course they got these toolkits, the tool chain, allowing companies out there to take the API aspect, build their own systems, but utilizing the VeChain technology. Carbon footprint platforms, food safety traceability, digital assurance, all these really amazing things that are really appealing to the likes of people who do validate or quality check products. I've been fortunate, if you want to call it fortunate, have had the opportunity years back to go into a quality assurance factory and see all this amazing stuff that goes on to protect things like material items, pulling shards of metal out of food and stuff like that before it's canned, and vacuuming products. And that's just very basic stuff. But now adding this on top as a layer is quite phenomenal, really, in my opinion. Even NFTs, we think about NFTs as collectible items and stuff like that, and artwork. It's not just that. It's the aspect of owning things and being able to track things as well. Even crazy things like houses. Imagine looking at the supply mechanism of your house. How eco-friendly is your house actually going to be, and how sustainable? Where have the materials come from? What's the quality build of this house? You'll have every single minute detail in the house, which will contribute to things like the market value of the house. No more guesswork from estate agents. It's going to be this is the actual figurative number based on the material, the age, the quality, the warranties of each part. That's what I'm trying to get at, guys. So hopefully that's a bit of a mind bend, if you like, thought process around VeChain from a different perspective. I think it's interesting. But on that note, guys, let's look at the chart of VeChain while we're here. Make sure you hit that big thumbs up if you like what you hear and see, and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. And guys, let's just have a quick overview before we wrap up. So VeChain we haven't covered for a while. We've had this massive correctional period. To be honest, I don't think it's over such a big time. 8th, 7th or 8th of November. Let's just have a quick look how far down we have come in this period of time. So very much around 60%, taking us down to around the 20th of December, or even just before, actually 14th, 15th December. So very respectable. Not quite the 70 or 65, 70% I was expecting in, as you see in a lot of the other charts, but that's really good to see, showing the stability of VeChain, not coming down to these previous lows that we saw in July, which is really good to see. I was quite interested to see with this correction that it didn't stop or resist at this level around 8.4 cents, but I think a lot of chart movements across various projects have done similar moves as well, so it's not too much of a shock, but in the long run it's looking quite positive. One thing to look out for right now, we drew this previous line, this yellow line, in quite some time ago, just to be cautious of this area drop down in the future. Now, we did cover this area back in the beginning or mid of December, and we've just done the same again recently in the last couple of days. So this is a really reflective point for VeChain, in my opinion, to be not necessarily cautious, but just understand where we are with the movements right now. I'm just going to a bit more detail on that on the RSIs here. So we've got a few things to look at as well with the MACD. So we had a switch over into a more bullish momentum here on the 17th of December. So let's just have a very quick recap in the chart of what that looked like. So it doesn't look massive, but it was certainly a switch over, indicating that the overselling was being replaced with finally some intake volumes of purchasing power coming into VeChain. Great to see. That has been tailing off the last few days, albeit we may see a second, maybe even a third wave. Who knows? We might see a similar pattern to what we saw back here, because we have arguably had a massive influx or outflux, if you like, of VeChain selling over this last couple of months. So lower regions of the RSI back here on the 14-day. Very much indicating nice levels around 28, 29. We've seen that similarly in other projects as well. But you look up here, these top points around 50, 60, near enough, very nearly doubling the position already in that short space of time. We've had a bit of a correction since then as well, which we've just indicated the last few days have been in a bit of a negative, and that's shown here on the histogram here as well, just cooling off slightly, but we're hitting these middle grounds very nicely across the board. 42 on a 14-day. That, in my opinion, irrespective of this lower point here, this is always a good buying area for me on the 14 days at 40. So it's showing there's potential room in the tank left for VeChain. Maybe a small drop down here over the next couple of days, and then a swing upwards again where we test the higher levels we saw previously. We'll recap that in a second before we tie this video up. But on the 28-day and the 90-day, again, looking very strong and good possible entry points if you missed the previous earlier ones. Me personally, anything under 10 cents, not financial advice, but I am purchasing left, right and center. I took advantage of this 8-cent mark. I will be taking advantage again around these areas, hopefully dropping down a bit close to the 8 cents, selfishly thinking there. Yeah, this is understandable, but if we can pull this out, we can get sustainability at this previous yellow line we drew. I'm just going to remove that so we just focus more clearly on the fib retracement here. Very much flowing around that 8.3 cent mark. Recording at the moment is 8.4, so very much on that point. As we mentioned, touching the previous resistance here. Look at that, 8.6 I think, close, and we had markers around here, low of 8.4, so literally bang on where we are today. So if we can get a tail up, we'll probably see some more resistance as this 9.7, 9.8 mark. Literally need to try and get back to this 10 cent mark as soon as we can. And I do think we'll do that in clear leveled stages upwards. But once we do get to 10 cents and push that barrier, it's going to be really interesting times in my opinion, because we'll be hitting the lower regions that we saw here in October, and also higher points here that we saw maybe 24th, 25th September, just over 10 cents as well. So this is going to be a really key area of interest as we hit towards 10 cents again. Probably see a bit of a track down, maybe hitting that 9.6 mark and then pulling it back up again over that short period of time. So I think that we're probably looking at over the next month trying to do that. No one really knows when this bull run's coming. You'll know when you're in it, basically. But I do think that January's been quite strong for VeChain. I think there's going to be a lot more topics and conversations around supply chain and efficiency and things like that over the next few months, especially in the energy sector. But that does spill into other elements of transportation and energy efficiency as well. And that does involve things like supply chain, of course. So I do think there's going to be some good real world narratives kicking out there to help VeChain up as well. But we've just got to see how these next few days play out. Like I said, 8.3 is quite a critical area at the moment. So let's see how that plays out into next week. And then finally, on the indicators here on the right hand side, the weekly and the monthly and the 3 month don't look great. But the monthly and the 3 monthly, to be fair, are taking into consideration the tail end of the bear run that we've had. So I do anticipate over this next week or so, this week to go green. It's probably going to take a good month and a half for that to switch over into green as well. But once that happens, I think more and more confidence will definitely drill in. And by that time, we'll probably be up here at this 10 to 12 cent mark. Let's see how that plays out. But guys, let us know what your end of bull run predictions are. We're still sticking with an 87 cent mark price point. We'll have to see if that tails up, but we did see some really good prices earlier this year, of course. I think 26, 27 and 27.8 cents. So we're still far off that, but this has been a very bouncy ride so far this year. But I do anticipate that once we break these barriers, hopefully in a few months' time, we will shoot up very quickly to those 50, 60, 70 cent regions as momentum and influx of monetary value kicks into the market. So like I said, let us know in the comments below what you think the end of bull run activity price will be for VeChain, and let us know as well how you're feeling about VeChain in general. Is it still one of your top projects you're holding? How long are you going to be holding for? What's your game plan for 2022? Love to know everyone's thoughts and strategies. But guys, I'm going to wrap that up there. We've got quite a few videos to get through today, tomorrow morning and tomorrow night before the year ends. Mental, we're talking about 2021 coming to an end already. But guys, thanks for watching. If we don't see you in another video this time, we do wish you well for the year to come. Happy New Year to you all, and thanks again for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.